What's up, my loves? How are you? Today we got a new moon going on. It's Friday. All right, I hope y'all are feeling well, feeling good, feeling in your body, okay? Connected to that ability to be present and just feeling really grounded. So, today I wanted to share a few things. Well, yeah, I had a question asked as far as how did I, when I got started in practicing hoodoo, did I have someone show me or did I just go about it on my own? And, sometimes you just want answers to questions to be like, this is it, like a yes or no. But in that, it's not really that simple of an answer because it's so many things that built up to me getting there. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So yes, before we get started, my name is Chanel. I am with Lizzie's Charm. I am a diviner, hoodoo practitioner, and a mystic. Okay, so yes, we're going to go ahead and get into my life, I guess, in a sense, because is all of those things really built up and brought me to this point, you know. Um, so I do have a video down below in my list of videos, and I talk about my spiritual journey. And this, me getting into hoodoo, is coincided with that, but at the same time, it's more of the practical uh, aspect of me operating in getting there, like what I connected with, what I did for real. So let's go back for a second. In like 2011, it was like 2011, I think, maybe it was 2010. Okay, I had dyed my hair blonde, and at that point, I should have known that something was going on. Not that I would have not dyed my hair blonde, bleached my hair blonde, I should say, because I've always been into changing my look, changing how my hair looks, changing the color of my hair, and all of those things, So, but when I did that, I was just like in a very different space. Like, I still had a relaxer at that time, and I was just like, I need something different, not really realizing that the difference that was trying to take place was within me. And so that happened, and as time dwindled on, I started getting into different things. Started getting into detoxing, started getting into reading different books about spirituality, and learning more about being present, being here, right, and what that meant. And at that time, I still didn't really get it. Like, you read something and you can read the words and understand what's being written and said, but you don't really comprehend what's being told to you until you experience a thing yourself. And I guess that's really what this video is about, the experience, because that is what brought me here, practicing hoodoo, practicing magic, and all of those things that come along with that. So I started processing things, and eventually, I guess, what was it, end of 2011, end of 2012, I had connected with an old friend of mine at the time, and she had shared some stuff with me, and I had ended up getting into holistic therapy. So I got certified being a holistic detox therapist, and that led me to getting into Sacred Woman. And if you don't know what Sacred Woman is, it is basically it's an initiation, for real. It's a learning, which is what an initiation is, a learning, a gathering, a coming to oneself, right? But it's based in like comedic rituals, not necessarily rituals, but comedic gods, not even the gods, the goddesses. All right, and connecting that with the womb. It's a lot about womb healing, womb cleansing, womb clearing, right? And connecting that with the ancestral aspect of things within the self. And that is how I began to get into ancestral veneration. So that started back, what was that, like 2012? Yeah, like 2011, 2012, something like that. It was in that time frame. I was 22 turning 23, or was I 23 turning 24? So if I was 23, it was 2012. So and when I dyed my hair blonde, I believe I was 22. So that was 2011. So that's around the time all this got going, me deciding that I wanted to change my life, wanting to do something different. Or just feeling like something was changing, something needed to be different. Like, this shit ain't working. What is going on with life? So, in the process of that, going through the whole rites of passage with Sacred Woman, because that's what it is, a rites of passage that leads to an initiation. I just started learning a lot of things. Started getting deeper and connecting with my ancestors. The first ancestor that I started working with was my grandmother on my maternal line, which I'll talk about more as I get towards the end of me in this traditional practice of hoodoo, root work and conjure that I do. So in that process, like, I went through that, and then I started getting into, with the whole detox therapy, the holistic therapies. I started getting into nutritional health, but like on a raw food level, like and learning a lot about adaptogens and what that meant and how that works in the body, like, and what it is that actually even means, So I got into those things, and then once I ventured off from getting into learning in the body, I started getting into feminine energy, divine feminine energies, workings, for real, like what that was, learning about that. I started learning about my body as well on a deeper level, started really learning about relationships, and more so me in the relationship. Okay, and oh, it's just been so much, so much. So I was in that, and the whole divine feminine thing like really led me to getting into this cult. And I have a video about that as well down below in my videos. You're gonna have to scroll. I will actually link them. I'll put one of them here up at the top, and then I'll put another one at the end so that you can see a little bit about that. Y'all, I froed my hair out because I need to wash my hair, and this is the first time I've ever worn my hair out in a fro like this, just froed out. I don't feel any kind of way about it. I don't not like it, but it's definitely something I will have to get used to. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So that brought me to that, and I started getting into working with women. Not that I wasn't before, but it was more on like a health level, and this led me to connecting on a more womb-based spiritual level. Before, I was doing womb-based things as well, but it was from a different perspective. It was a lot more in reference to embodiment, and connecting with the feminine within, the feminine essence, and what that, not necessarily what it means, but what it feels like, So that was a whole thing. And eventually from there, okay, let me stop for a second. Let me go back. So when I was in Sacred Woman, I started getting into ritual work, and ritual work led me into, because it's all about ritual, right? So this is candles and petitions and claiming, and all of that stuff, crystal work and all of those things. And when I started doing that, it just felt right. It felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. And that led from one thing to another. So I started getting into spell work on my own after that, like just going, we have various metaphysical shops here where I live, and there was one in particular I used to go to. I used to be buying candles, sage, incense, oils, pendulums, crystals, like books. All right, I just really got into it because it felt like that's what I was supposed to do. That's what I was supposed to be doing. And at that time, I also started getting deeper into astrology. So I've always been into the zodiac and you know, basics of astrology. And then when I got into Sacred Woman, I started learning a little bit more about it. Nobody there taught me. I started getting into it myself. So before then, I used to be pulling up like my birth chart, or this is before I started doing any of this. Um, you know, I think it was even before, oh no, even before I had dyed my hair. Was it before I dyed my hair? I can't recall. So I may have actually bleached my hair in like 2010 because bits and pieces are coming back. I remember having grown my hair back, grown out my hair, and turning and dyeing it blonde. Um, and after I dyed it blonde, I had cut it off natural. And I remember I had a short natural do, and I had got some weave put in, some tracks. Yeah, so it's so many things that happen. So I think I dyed I colored my hair blonde, and okay, I had got a phone call, so we had to pause the video. But yes, so many things. So this started before then. I guess I was about what, 21, when I started coming into all this stuff. And you know, it was a process. So getting into the spell work, right? Introduced to Sacred Woman, getting into the ancestral veneration, the spell work, the rituals, getting deeper into astrology. Like I basically taught myself astrology, or the bulk of the meat of what it is that I needed to know in order to actually read somebody's chart, read my own chart, to have a comprehensive understanding of it. Okay, so with that, I also got into tarot cards at that time too, because in it it was just really getting in tune with your high priestess energy, with your queen mother energy, okay, with your mystic energy as a woman. So moving forward, got into the whole body stuff, and then getting into the feminine aspect of things. Was drawn into that by the teacher, felt like I was really resonating. That ended up being something I had to abandon, let go of. And if you go and watch the video that I talked about being in a cult, I'll go into detail about all of that stuff. So but in between that time, I was in that group for like 4 years, 4.5 years, I think. I joined when I got pregnant with my son, and I stopped around the time he was 3 or 4, I think. So after I walked away from that, but in the midst of that, like I was taking different spiritual classes, like learning about different types of meditation, learning about like diving deeper into tarot, taking tarot classes, all right, and really just living, like, and then also offering these things to people. So in the process of this was all giving me, I was gaining understanding, I was gaining a know-how of things. I also got certified to, I'm a certified yoga instructor as well, you know. So I was just getting into many things to helped me connect more with myself. Before my son was born, I had started getting into building voodoo altars, but I ended up getting away from working with voodoo. It was nothing um negative about it, but voodoo is a religion. It's something to be initiated into, and not that the deities or the Loa, not that they reject those who call on them, who come to them, but when it comes to working with them, they want a devotion. You know, that's the whole aspect of getting initiated and learning which of them, govern you. Is very similar to the Orisha, which Orisha is utilized, connects with voodoo, especially from a African perspective, not so much from a Haitian perspective. They do utilize Orisha in New Orleans voodoo, which is different. It's based in a different expression. And I don't have a lot of details on what that is, but you can definitely look around and find out if that is for you, and connect with someone who can initiate you within that. It's truly a religion. Okay. So um after that, at one time I was doing like building altars for and connecting with different orishas, but orishas want devotion too, and it is also an initiation into a Ifa or Ile. um and there are other names for them based off of what tradition of uh those practices that you connect with, because there's so many. Like, it's not just that. So many different expressions of each orisha, even, so it's a lot entailed within the realm of the spiritual natures of things. So, and again, not that connecting with those deities, um do they not show up and support me? Because they will, but I don't necessarily need to build an altar to them. I don't necessarily need to um be devoted to them, because that energy will express itself. I know that energy will express itself in my life in different ways, to have me recognize it and be like, okay, yes, I honor you, I see you, kind of thing. So um and if you want to know more about that, I would definitely connect with a priestess of those traditions, because they can teach you more, tell you more, give you more insight, guide you to the places it is that you need to be, if that is something that you want to connect with, something that you want to be initiated in, right? But it's all a very personal thing. All this stuff is a very personal thing. It's about, I don't want to say it's about, but learning about oneself is the best way to go about seeing what is for you. So after I stepped away from that group I was in, that's when I started really getting into hoodoo. I was getting more into conjure than hoodoo, because hoodoo is a way of life, right? It is. It is truly a way of life. It is about family and love and caring, and being present, and living your life in alignment with spirit, right? And who it is that you need to be, who you need to show up as, right? What it is that serves you best. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Like, that is very big when it comes to the practices of hoodoo, right? In any spiritual um practice, honestly, not just hoodoo, but it's truly a way of life. Okay, it is ancestral, it is cultural, and um it's cool to want to, get into the practices, but it's also important to recognize whether you are just into the magic of things, or if you are truly into the desire to live your life in a certain kind of way, right? Um, And once I started learning, taking classes, connecting with an elder, I was seeing that, oh, wow, like I've already been living my life in this way. You know, I've already been very devoted to myself, my lineage, you know, who I am, where I come from. You know, that's very that and that is a lot of what Hoodoo is based in, right? Because it's about knowing oneself, knowing thyself, but also knowing that which you have came from, right? You know where you come from, you know where you're going, you know where what you have to utilize. You recognize your strengths, your weaknesses, right? That which has been inherited and that which is just truly yours, because there are some things that don't necessarily come from our family. There are some things that who we are as a person, we bring into the family line, so it's a lot in connecting with that and understanding that and knowing that. So it was a process over all that time. I realized, okay, well, this is for me, and this is who I express myself as, even. So from astrological standing, I have a Aries sun, a Capricorn moon, and a Leo rising. Right, Leo rising, hence the hair. All right, it fits. So, um, all of that energy, how my astrological chart shows up, it even expresses that there is a, what do you call it? What do you call it? I don't know. I can't think of the word, but there's something called human design, and even in that, it's based off of your planets and the signs they're in. They basically let you know what I Ching hexagrams are an expression of yourself, right? It even falls into that. And there's also called gene keys, something called gene keys, which is kind of in correlation. It's very similar to human design. And within that, when it comes to purpose for me, it has to do with dynamism. It's like a dynamic, the isms of being dynamic, which dynamism is metaphysics, right? It is this work, it is this knowing the workings of the spiritual and the material. It is a believing that the spiritual realm influences and animates the material realm, so in choosing the path and feeling pulled to what it is that I was choosing to do, in continuing to learn more about myself, I realized, oh, okay, well, I've just been following what I've been pulled to, what I've been guided to. And at the end of the day, all I was really trying to do was get back to myself. Get back to myself. Get back to who it is that I am, away from being conditioned, right? All the influences of the world, of the schools and everything like that, because I went to private school up until I was 11, I think, and before that, I was the things that I was interested in, what I was curious about, um, that's what I'm into now, right? And it wasn't until I got to public school that I really started strongly disconnecting from the essence of who I was, you know. But in the same time, it helped me learn more about myself. It helped me experience expressions of myself that I did not know existed, that I would not have known existed if that wouldn't have happened, if that wouldn't have taken place. But that goes with anything that you involve yourself in, right? You get into something new and you realize, like, oh, like, I didn't even know that I did or could express myself in this kind of way, so yeah, y'all, that is really, because everything, before I say that, everything that I have learned up until this point, I can and do utilize within my practice of Hoodoo. And that is because anything can be utilized with it. You know, hoodoo in itself, it has its own spirits that it connects with, spirits that were protectors of those in slavery, right? During those times, during times of oppression and everything like that. And I'll get into talking about that in a different video, you know, but um, it doesn't have anyone necessarily that you are supposed to or have to work with. But, um, you know, it's beneficial to connect with them because at the end of the day, the practices of hoodoo are based in Christianity, you know, Southern Baptists, like Pentecostal churches, um, the practices of hoodoo, of blessing, consecration, all those things, they exist within the Black church, despite whatever things have grown into up until this point. Because churches today, they not gonna say that. They don't know that. That's the thing. They don't know that these are like down home, small, congregational churches, like the pastor, where the pastor was possibly a hoodoo, and either some of the members knew, right? Because the path of a hoodoo is truly being a minister, building ministry, right, to support the community, in of the root work of the conjuring. it's is I want to be like, it's so much it is and then it isn't. Like it's like it's simple. Like this is what it is, but within that there's so much more to know, you know. And a lot of times we find that knowing and choosing ourselves and learning what it is that we are being pulled to learn, to know, right, to know what it's us, to know our family, our lineage, you know. Because it wasn't until I started getting into the hoodoo courses that I learned that, like, this type of living, this traditional healing, this hoodoo way of going about life has been in my family for like 6 generations. All right, it go back. So this would make 7 generations for me. Granted, it skipped 2, um, and maybe more so just 1, because my grandmother still, a lot of the things that she did was still very based in hoodoo, which she wouldn't. I don't know if she actually knew that, recognized that. If she was to have been told that, she probably would be like, "What? Absolutely not," you know. But yeah, it's the truth. You know, the truth is what it is. So yeah, you know, that's it. That's all. I hope that fully answered the question, because those were all the things that led me up until knowing. It's a lot about living your life. You, because even in still learning from someone else, learning things, it's still what you do with it, what you know. It comes from the experience, and you got to be in it. You got to walk in it, and that's just what that is. You know, you can read all the books that you want. You can sit all the feet that you want. All right. They're going to give you some good wisdom for sure. But at the end of the day, um, what is felt, right? What you can speak about from a place within you, it comes through the experience. And in the experience, you gain your own personal wisdom, in that you become the elder. It's just step by step. That's it. So, y'all, I hope that this was helpful. I hope this answered the question um, in a way that you all, or whoever was wondering, um, was seeking, right? I hope it gave enough for you to take for yourself and go about, whatever it is that you choose to do, because at the end of the day, it is personal and it is your choice. So, yes, new moon blessings, Venus day blessings, y'all. And I hope y'all have a wonderful new moon. I hope that it blesses you. I hope it brings you the abundance it is that you are seeking, searching for at this time. it is all meant and up to you to be your authentic self. All right. So take some time and contemplate on what that means, is, and looks like for you. And I'll see you next time. Bye. With that said, I would love to invite you to a day of embarking on a journey of honoring and connecting with our ancestors, learning how to infuse their presence and essence into your life. We will be touching on some themes of grief and learning tools that will help support us living a more liberated and peaceful life. You can find access to this below, and I hope to see you there. I look forward to connecting with you.